Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is CarQ, and today we have another One Tip episode remake, this time Soldier, because the last one was made a long time ago. The link to the full series is in the description, and today's guest, IDDQT.
Hi there, IDDQT here, your ex-Overwatch League Pro hitscan player. I've been playing a lot of the new Soldier, and I'm here to bring you some tips today.
So first, let's start off with a general tip.
Soldier's recoil pattern was recently changed from a randomized spread to mostly a straight line. The best tip to control the new recoil is to slowly pull downwards while shooting and trying to keep it on the same spot against the wall. Then I recommend heading to the workshop mode and practicing controlling your recoil against these flying targets. Obviously this won't simulate real enemy movements, but this is a good way to get you started and feeling comfortable on the new aiming pattern.
And with that out of the way, let's get started.
Against D.Va, you want to use your sprint in a few different ways depending on the situation. If you want to escape D.Va's burst combo, immediately start sprinting away from her so that you can use the momentum from her booster jet to create some distance. If you have help from your team and don't want to give up your high ground position, you can sprint towards her to stay up top and punish her. If you're alone, you can also drop Biotic Field and do the safety dance to waste her time as well. Orisa has been changed as the last Soldier tip episode, and she currently has a 600 HP shield. With these new Soldier changes, you can break her shield without reloading with a Helix and 26 bullets in like 3 seconds. Remember that Orisa's shield cooldown is about 10 seconds, so you can single-handedly force her to use Fortify or actually just retreat out of line of sight very quickly. Against Rein, there's honestly much to say. You pressure his shield and do your best to get those satisfying dinks in if he decides to charge you from across the map. If Roadhog is out in the open, he's super easy to shoot down, but you have to read his body language. If he tries to close the distance to get an hook in range, shoot him for a bit and then immediately go for a sprint in a random direction to dodge the hook. If he starts healing while you're shooting at him, get ready to start sprinting with the animation is over because there's a very high chance he goes for a hook right after. When you think Roadhog is about to hook one of your teammates, shoot a Helix rocket at him to boop him out of position and mess up his aim. Against Sigma, it's usually better to engage with Helix first instead of using it as a finishing burst because of his kinetic grasp. Other than that, just focus down his shield similar to Reinhardt's. If he ever gets close to you, get a feel for his firing tempo and you'll be able to sprint when he's firing his orbs and shoot back during the downtime of his fire rate. Against Winston, the most important thing is just not to panic. If you can dodge the damage from the jump pack, he cannot kill you in his first Tesla cannon clip if your healing station is deployed. If you don't have a healing station, sprint away and jump away as soon as he lands from his jump pack to use the momentum to get out of range. Against Ball, there's a very cool way to outplay him depending on the map. So a Soldier Helix jump can only go so high. For example, you can't make it to his high ground here on King's Row, but if you know the ball is going to pile drive near you, try to Helix jump as he slams down next to you so you can use the extra height to juke him. When Sora uses her bubble, her hitbox expands quite a bit, and if she's under half health, it's super easy to control your spray and break the bubble. It would usually catch her by surprise, and you can finish her off with a few more shots into a Helix. Against Ashe, her biggest weakness is when she uses her aim down sights, since her head hitbox will move forward and she's slower. This will be the best time to get consistent headshots against her. If you ever catch her ADSing against a teammate and you're on the off angle, open up with a Helix first and then shoot her down. Avoid this Decepticon at all costs. Only engage when you've got teammates with you or you flank high ground if possible. The moment he looks at you, you will simply sprint away and break the line of sight. It's simply a bob and weave fight. Good luck. Against Doomfist, you never want to engage him on the same level because that gives him multiple ways to fight you and escape cleanly. Shoot him from high ground so that he either has to ignore you if you're out of his range, or he has to do some stupid roll-out to reach you. When you're uppercut, use your mid-air strafe to dodge his primary fire to minimize the damage from his combo, and you might be able to escape. Against Echo, just focus on tracking her. If she managed to land her sticky bombs or is beaming you down, do the safety dance over your Biotic Field to mess up her aim. If you're shooting at Genji, it's very likely he'll start deflecting soon after. Immediately try to aim your Helix on the ground or a wall near him for some splash damage. Against Hanzo, the pressure is actually on him to hit you and not you. You have the advantage of faster strafing and jump strafes to make it extremely hard for him to land a headshot on you. If he doesn't kill you by his third charged arrow, you probably already won the duel. Shoot a few bullets, sprint around and dodge, shoot a few more bullets, and then keep repeating that pattern for an easy kill. Against Junkrat, his hitbox is quite large, and if he ever does a mine jump, he's extremely easy to track down. When he uses his Riptire, your Helix does the perfect amount to destroy it, so do your best to snipe it. When you have an equal skill McCree versus an equal skill Soldier, I actually do think Soldier simply has the advantage at mid to long range with the consistent damage and your healing pad. Obviously, if he gets you close with a flashbang, he'll win, but your goal is to maintain that distance at any given time, and you should win more often than you lose. Against Mei, you can Helix jump right over the wall to help your team if you're cut off at a choke point. Also, don't be afraid to just burst down the Mei wall with your Helix and some shots, it's very fragile. The piece should break off in less than 2 seconds if you have some teammates that also needs to get past the wall. If you notice the Mei holding her cryo near the max duration, you can easily learn the timing and get a free Helix off when she pops out for an easy kill. Against Pharah, there's not really much to it, you shoot her as you see her. Even if she's being pocketed by a Mercy and you feel discouraged because you can't fully finish her off, that's completely okay, just keep the pressure on her. It will force her to fly differently, drop down, and sometimes break out line of sight, and it will remove a lot of the impact that she may have on your team. Against Reaper, this matchup is all about the distance, as Reaper does absolutely nothing at mid to long range. Learn the timing and land the Helix every time you see him teleport. If you see him using Death Blossom, it's an easy lineup for some headshots. In the Soldier mirror, it just simply comes down to who has the better aim and who lands the Helix first. If you are going to use Visor, there is a neat animation cancel trick that you can do by pressing your Biotic Field and immediately cancelling it with your ultimate. Against Sombra, it does sound silly, but just melee every time you go around a corner and you'd be surprised at the amount of times you accidentally will bump into a Sombra and kick her out of stealth. If you ever hear the unstealth voice line nearby, just instinctively throw down your Biotic Field so that it's out before you get hacked or EMP. Against Symmetra, try to shoot down her centers flying in mid-air and be sure to take care of them on point. If I ever see a teleporter, I kinda wait for the first person that goes through the teleport and then I fire off a Helix. By the time it lands, usually 3 or 4 enemies will have teleported through and you get some juicy damage and an ult charge. Against Torb, always kill his turret first in a 1v1. If you ever see him throwing it down or throwing down a complete brand new turret, fire off a Helix rocket immediately to instantly destroy it because it starts at low HP and it needs time to ramp up. Other than that, it's just kinda straightforward, you shoot at Torb whenever you see him. Against Tracer, if she ever blinks too closely to you, you can melee and Helix combo to instantly kill her. If you don't have Helix, what I'd like to do sometimes myself, even against the best Tracers, is just to simply put down my healing station and ignore her while focusing on the enemy team. This usually just wastes her time and stops her from focusing me because, in reality, you have to have some insane aim to one-clip a soldier with a heal pad going. Against Widow, keep the newly changed 175 HP in mind and take the duel. Open up with a Helix if possible, and you only need to land a couple more shots to confirm the kill. Use the left and right spam while crouching to randomly make yourself very hard to headshot. The absolute easiest way to kill an Ana is to engage her from the side while she's scoped in and not paying attention. If you're up front, I like shooting the Ana a bit to bait out the sleep dart, react and dodge it, and then go for the kill. Against Baptiste, pressure him with your primary fire, but always save your Helix for a quick execution of the field, which will give your team pretty huge edge in a team fight. Brig has a paper thin shield now. Honestly, just open with the Helix rocket and some bullets to immediately break it and go for the kill or force her out of the fight. Lucio is kind of another point and click adventure, not really much to this matchup. Take your time, focus on your aim against his movements and everything's gonna go fine. Against Mercy, I specifically say my Visor for her Valkyrie. It's one of the top priorities in fact. Other than that, I kinda shoot her if she ever flies in my line of sight, which will force her to make her very uncomfortable with her Guardian Angel, which will likely result in more positional mistakes that your team can take advantage of. In a 1v1 against Moira, just don't panic. All you need to do is throw down your healing pad, stand still, focus on your tracking. We don't need to overcomplicate it or strafe too hard because it will likely mess up your own aim without really changing anything for Moira because her Biotic Grasp has a massive hitbox. Against Sen, I would always recommend trying to get a Helix splash near his feet. Personally, I don't like going for the direct shots because it's too difficult to hit. This matchup is honestly just a matter of who lands their shots, not really much to it.
And that's it for the updated tips. I know Soldier's kit is very simple, so a lot of these tips were not that complex and mostly point and click adventures. Regardless, thank you IDDQD for joining me in this episode, and catch you next time.
Well, thank you so much for having me in this video, KarQ. It's been so much fun. If you want more of me, you can check me out at twitch.tv/IDDQD.